The night he said it, the ring felt heavier than it ever had before. We were sitting in his car outside my apartment, the engine off, the city humming around us. It was the same car where he had once taken my hand, voice shaking, and said he couldn't imagine a life without me. Now his voice was steady, almost rehearsed. "Let's call off the engagement," he said, staring straight ahead at the windshield. I laughed at first, a soft, confused laugh. "What?" He exhaled slowly. "All my friends are marrying executives, directors, doctors, women with titles. You do," he hesitated, like he was searching for a softer word and couldn't find one. "You don't fit that world." The silence that followed was louder than anything he'd said. I looked down at my hands, the same hands that had worked double shifts to help him when his startup nearly collapsed. The same hands that had packed his lunches, edited his presentations, held him when his father died. "You mean I'm not impressive enough?" I said quietly. He didn't deny it. "It's not about love," he added quickly. "It's about compatibility, image, the future." Image. 5 years of late-night dreams, of building something together, reduced to optics. I slid the ring off my finger. My heart didn't shatter the way I expected it to. It felt numb, like frostbite. "If that's how you measure a future," I said, placing the ring in his palm, "then you're right, we don't fit." I stepped out of the car before he could respond. That night I didn't cry, not immediately. I sat on my kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, staring at the blank wall. His words replayed in my head on a loop. "You don't fit that world." I was a high school literature teacher. I loved my job. I loved the way my students' eyes lit up when a poem finally made sense. I loved the quiet victories, shy kids finding their voices, struggling readers discovering confidence. But in his world of rooftop parties and corporate networking events, teacher wasn't glamorous, it wasn't executive. By morning, the numbness cracked. I didn't cry because I lost him. I cried because, for a moment, I believed him. For a few dangerous hours, I saw myself the way he described me, small, ordinary, not enough. And then I got angry. Not the explosive, screaming kind, the steady, simmering kind that builds foundations. I stopped checking his social media. I stopped answering the mutual friends who texted vague, curious questions. I threw myself into my work, but not to escape. To grow. I enrolled in a weekend master's program in educational leadership. Not because he thought I needed a title, but because I realized I'd been shrinking my own ambitions to stay comfortable in his shadow. I started writing again, something I had abandoned during our engagement because it wasn't practical. Short essays at first, then longer pieces. I submitted one to a small online publication. It got rejected. I submitted another. Rejected again. The third one got published. The check was tiny, almost laughable, but when I saw my name in print, something inside me stood up straighter. Months passed. I heard through the grapevine that he was dating someone new, an investment banker, sharp suits, impressive LinkedIn profile, the kind of woman who fit perfectly into photos taken at charity galas. I braced myself for the sting. It never really came. Instead, my life began to feel bigger. My master's program connected me with mentors who saw potential in me I hadn't fully seen in myself. I was invited to speak at a regional education conference about creative literacy programs. Me, on a stage, with a microphone. The night before the conference, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror practicing my speech. My hands trembled, not from fear of failure, but from the weight of growth. A year after he called off the engagement, I was promoted to assistant principal. The title didn't magically transform me. I was still the same woman who loved poetry and messy classroom debates, but I carried myself differently. I made decisions that shaped hundreds of students' experiences. I stopped shrinking. One evening, nearly 18 months later, I attended a fundraising gala for our school district. It was held at one of the city's upscale hotels. Crystal chandeliers, polished floors, waiters weaving through the crowd with silver trays. I almost laughed at the familiarity of it. And then I saw him. He stood near the bar, older somehow, though not much time had passed. His suit was expensive, his posture confident. Beside him stood a woman in a sleek black dress, beautiful, poised. He noticed me before I could slip away. For a second I saw surprise flicker across his face, then something else, recognition. "You look different," he said when we stood face to face. "I hope so," I replied with a small smile. We exchanged the usual pleasantries: work, life, mutual friends. "And you?" he asked, still teaching. "I'm assistant principal now," I said calmly, "and I publish education essays on the side." His eyebrows lifted. "Wow, that's impressive." The word hung between us. Impressive. I realized then that I didn't need it from him anymore. Not his approval, not his validation, not his re-evaluation of my worth. "I'm glad things worked out for you," he said after a pause. "They did," I answered honestly. Because they had. Not in the way I once imagined, with a wedding dress and shared last names, but in a way that felt sturdier. He had wanted someone who fit an image. I had become someone who fit herself. As I walked away to greet colleagues and donors, I felt no bitterness, no urge to prove anything further. The truth was simple. The night he called off the engagement wasn't the night I lost my future. It was the night I got it back. Sometimes rejection isn't a door closing. It's a mirror being held up. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do after someone tells you you're not enough is to build a life so full that their definition of enough becomes irrelevant. I never became the kind of executive his friends married. I became the kind of woman who no longer needed to.